The words hit like a blade slipped between ribs. I regret every day with you. Sarah's voice was steady, her eyes cold as the November rain streaking the kitchen window. I stood frozen. The ring I'd been twisting on my finger suddenly heavy, a lead weight tethering me to a sinking ship. Her words weren't a confession. They were a verdict. My chest tightened, the air in our cramped apartment turning thick, as if the walls themselves were closing in to witness my unraveling. I'd come home early, expecting to surprise her with takeout from that Thai place she loved. The bag sat abandoned on the counter, the scent of lemongrass mocking the moment. Her phone lay face up beside it, buzzing softly, a message lighting the screen. I hadn't meant to look, but the name Mark burned into my vision. Not a colleague, not a friend. Mark, her ex, the one she swore was ancient history. The message was half-read. Miss you. Last night was... My stomach lurched, and I'd asked, voice trembling, what it meant. That's when she said it. No hesitation, no apology. Just truth, sharp and final. The kitchen clock ticked, each second a hammer against my skull. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but my throat felt sealed shut. Instead, I replayed the last 6 months in my head, searching for cracks I'd missed. The late nights at work she'd blamed on deadlines. The way her laughter had grown brittle, like glass about to shatter. The perfume on her coat, unfamiliar, that I'd told myself was a gift from a coworker. I'd seen the signs but painted them over with excuses, desperate to keep our life, our love, intact. Sarah. I managed, my voice a stranger's, low and cracked. How long? She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, her dark hair falling over one shoulder like a curtain hiding her thoughts. Does it matter? She asked, not cruelly, but with a weariness that cut deeper than malice. It's done, Ethan. I'm done. I laughed, a bitter sound that scraped my throat. Done? After 8 years, you're just done. My fingers tightened around the ring, the gold warm from my skin. I'd worn it every day since our courthouse wedding, a promise I thought we'd both meant. Now it felt like a lie, a prop in a play I hadn't known was scripted. Her eyes flicked to the ring, then back to me. I tried, she said, softer now, almost pleading. I tried to be the wife you wanted. But I'm not her anymore. Maybe I never was. The words stung, but they didn't explain Mark. They didn't explain the late-night texts or the way she'd started locking her phone. I stepped closer, the linoleum creaking under my boots, and caught the faint scent of that unfamiliar perfume clinging to her sweater. So what? I said, my voice rising. You found yourself with him? With Mark, of all people? Her jaw tightened, but she didn't look away. It wasn't planned, she said. It just happened. He gets me, Ethan. He sees me. And I don't. My voice broke, raw and desperate. I thought of the mornings we'd spent tangled in bed, planning a future, kids, a house, a life. I thought of the nights I'd held her when she cried over her mother's death, whispering promises I meant with every fiber of my being. I gave you everything, Sarah. Everything. She shook her head, tears glinting but not falling. You gave me what you thought I wanted. But you never asked. You never saw how much I was drowning. The room spun, the edges blurring like a dream I couldn't wake from. Drowning? I'd been the one treading water, working overtime to keep us afloat while she drifted further away. I thought of the nights I'd come home to silence, her eyes glued to her phone, her smiles forced. I'd told myself it was stress, that she'd come back to me. But now the truth was clawing its way out, and I couldn't unsee it. Tell me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Tell me when you stopped loving me. She flinched just for a second, and I saw the girl I'd fallen for, vulnerable, unguarded. The one who'd laughed at my terrible jokes and kissed me under a starlit sky. But then her face hardened again. I don't know, she said. Maybe when I realized I was living your life, not mine. The words were a punch, stealing my breath. I wanted to argue, to remind her of every sacrifice I'd made. Quitting my band to take a stable job, moving to this city she loved but I hated. But the truth was sinking in, heavy and cold. She'd been slipping away, and I'd been too blind to notice. I looked at the ring again, its simple band glinting under the fluorescent light. It was supposed to be forever, but forever had an expiration date I hadn't seen coming. My fingers moved before my mind caught up, sliding the ring off and holding it between us like evidence in a trial. If you regret every day, I said, my voice shaking but steady, then let this be the last one. Her eyes widened as I tossed the ring onto the counter. It spun a slow mocking dance before settling with a soft clink. The sound echoed in the silence, louder than any scream. For a moment, neither of us moved, the weight of 8 years hanging between us like smoke. Ethan, she started, but I was already turning away, grabbing my coat from the hook by the door. The rain outside was heavier now, drumming against the windows, calling me into its chaos. I needed air, space, anything to escape the suffocating truth. Don't, I said, not looking back. You've said enough. The door slammed behind me, the sound swallowed by the storm. The city street was a blur of wet asphalt and neon lights, each step pulling me further from the life I thought I knew. My phone buzzed in my pocket, her name on the screen, but I let it ring unanswered. I didn't know if it was an apology or another confession, and I wasn't ready to find out. As I walked, the rain soaking through my jacket, I saw flashes of her, Sarah laughing at our wedding, her hand in mine, Sarah crying in my arms, Sarah's cold eyes tonight unyielding. I'd loved her fiercely, blindly, but love wasn't enough to hold someone who didn't want to stay. Then a thought struck me, sharp and unbidden. The spare key to her car, still in my pocket from last week's oil change. I stopped under a flickering streetlight, my breath visible in the cold air. Her car was parked a block away, a silver hatchback that held pieces of our life, grocery runs, road trips, late-night drives when we couldn't sleep. And maybe I realized it held answers. I don't know what drove me, anger, desperation, or some twisted need for closure, but I found myself at her car, the key cold in my hand. The rain muffled the click of the lock as I opened the passenger door. The air inside smelled of her perfume. That unfamiliar scent, now a knife in my gut. On the seat lay a folded piece of paper, half hidden under a scarf. My hands shook as I unfolded it. A hotel receipt. 2 nights ago. Room 214. 2 guests. Paid in cash. The paper crumpled in my fist, the truth now undeniable. But it wasn't the receipt that broke me. It was the note scrawled on the back in her handwriting. Mark, you make me feel alive again. I stood there, rain dripping from my hair, the city roaring around me. The ring was gone, left behind on the counter, but its weight lingered. A ghost I'd carry forever. I didn't know who I was without her, but I knew one thing. I'd never be her anchor again.